Yeah, so like
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to South Langley's Coffee Time. We've got Shirley joining us here today. Shirley, just so you know, we always do a pre-show, and this pre-show kind of just helps us get settled. I'm actually going to have to go get my drink here in a moment, so it just kind of gives people a chance to join in and participate. The first time Dave and I did this, we had this big, long discussion about grapefruit. And people really enjoyed the chat back and forth, and so we just kind of kept stuck to doing the pre-show.
We discussed today. I like grapefruit.
I got more thoughts on grapefruit, to be honest.
Thank you, Shirley. Shirley likes grapefruit.
Ruby red. They're the sweetest ones. Forget the others. Go for ruby red.
Forget the others.
See, I think the big issue that Dave had was that I like making grapefruit smoothies, but I purposely leave some of the pith on, and I blend that into the smoothie with it because I just like the texture that it adds.
Oh, okay.
And I can see Dave like grimacing.
You know what? Dave's probably one of those, the Christmas oranges, and the peeling comes off well, but they always leave that little white stuff on the orange.
Yeah.
Dave, the one that kind of peels it all off the orange.
Do you do that, Dave?
I mean, kind of.
Well, there you go.
Okay, I need to run and get a drink, so you can.
I'm gonna go get our table topics. Be right back.
Okay, Shirley, you've got to hold down the fort.
I'm gonna hold down the fort. Oh, well, you know what? I was thinking that we need to take a survey of our church people.
Okay.
Pardon me? On what? Well.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, I happen to be, like on Facebook, I had a couple of friends just over the last several weeks tell me that they've picked up this hobby that they used to do years ago, like knit an Afghan or crochet an Afghan. There were several of them in 1 week. And I thought, well, this is like years ago you did that, but now they don't know what else to do. So they picked up this hobby or relearned their hobby. And I thought, I wonder how many others there are that have picked up a hobby during this pandemic, which might go on full time. Like my brother-in-law, he started baking. Like, where did this come from? And he just sort of thought, well, you know what? I wonder. I like Cobb's bread. Maybe I can make bread like Cobb's bread. So every weekend he makes a different bread. And it's just like, okay. And then they were saying how people are running, like they're running out of flour and they're running out of yeast because so many people are baking again. And then somebody else I know decided to try painting. So watches YouTube and then sits there and follows the how-to instructions. I thought it'd be really interesting to know how many people in church or in our congregation had picked up an old hobby and are redoing it or have learned a new hobby. And then it would be interesting to know how many of them had their spouses cut their hair during this time. It would be just really interesting. Like, do you trust your spouse enough to get your hair cut?
Yeah.
Just something that came to my mind.
John does not trust me enough.
Really?
He's been complaining.
Do you guys have clippers?
Yeah, we have clippers. I have experience. My sister went to hairdressing school, and I was regularly in her school, and their teachers would be coaching them as they were cutting their hair, and I would watch and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's just nope. That's just kind of where he draws the line.
And then the other thing would be to find out how many of them finally did a project that they've been waiting months and years to do. Like, how many of you, it would just, I thought, what a quirky survey it would be just to see the nature of people during this time. Because I know that we went for a walk near the beginning of the whole COVID thing when it was those nice days in March. Went for a walk, and we were amazed at how many people in our neighborhood here in Aldergrove had their garage doors up. Nobody parks in there. They just use it as storage. And they had the stuff in the garage out on the sidewalk, and they're organizing it, either putting it back or getting ready to give it to a thrift store. It was amazing. It seemed like every other home was doing this. And I thought, how many are cleaning out stuff that they've wanted to do for years? And then I volunteer at our local thrift store here in Aldergrove, and they just opened. So I was there on Monday, this couple of days ago. you wouldn't believe the stacks of boxes and bags that have come in. Like it's just crazy that people. It's just like almost a steady stream, and
Wow.
Right.
it'd be interesting. Anyways, those are some of my thoughts for what
Well,
they're.
We should once we get a few more viewers on, we should talk about that and see where people are at with that, because
Yeah.
you're right. It's a reshaping of our rhythm.
Yeah.
We've been watching a lot more TV.
Oh, is that right? Like
Yeah.
kids shows or adult shows?
No, adult shows.
I-
We're just, you know what it is? Like, to be honest, like having the kids home and never going, like they're never going anywhere, right?
Yeah, they're
Not going to
with you
school,
24/7.
not going to see the grandparents. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, we get to the end of the day and we're just beat. So once the kids go to bed, we're just on the couch and like, that's it.
Okay.
I actually, this weekend was the first, aside from what, like I've watched half of episodes, or like I'll have like maybe a friend's episode playing as I'm editing a kids church video. This weekend was the first movie I've watched since
Oh, really?
the pandemic started.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've had the exact opposite of, I'm like, oh, no time to do anything.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So Rita's just saying that she's watched all 6 seasons of Parenthood. I've heard that was a good one.
Wow. I binge watched Rosemary and Thyme. That was good.
What's that?
I don't know what that is.
It's a British one, and it's these 2 women that are gardeners, and there's always a murder that happens. They're busy
Oh,
gardening
I
away.
think I've heard of it.
Yeah, and the acting is really, really good. It's only, what was it, 3 seasons, 4 seasons? I can't remember. Anyways, but they're just going about their business, gardening, and then all of a sudden there's a dead body, and they end up helping to solve it. And they sometimes the plot is thin, but it's their interaction and how they relate to each other. They're very different,
Yeah.
and they're partners in this gardening business, and it's fun. You know, it's British.
Okay. It's
And
British.
it's just yeah. And what I really like is they always take place on these estates in Britain, and
Right.
it's in a monastery one time, and other times it's at a golf course, and yeah, they're fun. So if you're needing a good British show to watch, a little mystery.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, I ran out of Death in Paradise. They don't do them any. They
Oh.
don't,
I've heard of that.
Oh,
one
is that
too.
series over?
well,
We,
they for now, and then I think in fall the next season starts. Why did
Okay.
you watch them?
yeah, but we used to watch that.
Oh, I love that show. It's just
Like, to me, that shows it so interesting because it shows the difference between like a North American versus a British way of doing, right? Because they've replaced the main detective 3 times.
3 times.
Like,
Yes.
It's just been a revolving door of cast members.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like for them, they have the show is the institution. It's the
Yeah.
show. It's not the talent, right?
Dave,
Yeah,
have you
you
ever
would
heard of
never-
a show called Doctor Who?
Yes, I've heard of Doctor Who, Sarah. Don't watch it. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Doctor Who phenomenon.
Well, Death in Paradise, it has its own following. There are people who really, really like it, and they'll binge watch the whole thing. I think there are 9 seasons. And then there's some that'll watch the first few and they go, I don't get it. Nah. And then they don't even bother.
Dave, do you know how many doctors there have been on Doctor Who? Oh, also, did you post on social media that we're live?
I did. Well, I put it in our stories.
Who
Should
watches
I,
stories?
All right. Okay.
Sorry.
12 doctors. That's my guess.
I think it's 13 now, but excellent
my
guess.
God.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, how many seasons has it done? Has it run?
Oh, I don't know that, but there was also like a break, and then they did like a reboot, but it was still like a continuation of the original
Yeah, I've never
line.
seen it.
I should.
Okay,
look
everyone
at-
smile. Ready? There we go.
Doctor
Okay.
Who, how many seasons? Dave, can you hear me typing on my keyboard?
No, I cannot. Oh, hang on.
I bought
You know what?
I bought a new keyboard after
After
Sunday.
Yeah.
After people were giving her grief.
20
Here, let's go again.
26
One more.
seasons.
Smile. There you go.
Oh, sorry, that was the original. It originally ran for 26 seasons from November 1963 till December 1989.
You're kidding.
And then when did the reboot start? And then it's been on again. So it was a break. It wasn't on from 1989, and then it rebooted in 2005, and it's still on.
Wow.
But
I might have to check that out.
oh, Doctor Who surely is so fun.
Oh,
So
good.
fun. And it's
Well,
like,
we discovered, I mean, we're a little bit slow. We have a smart TV. So we watch church on Sunday mornings on my little notebook or Ken's little iPad, not realizing that we could use our smart TV. And somebody made a comment, I think it might have been Laura, our niece or somebody, that you can watch it on TV. So we get YouTube on our smart TV. And also
there you go.
YouTube on our smart TV. Gee, what else is there on YouTube that I can watch?
What else is there on YouTube?
So surely that's all that John and I have. We don't have cable. Sorry, we also have Netflix and Amazon, but we actually don't, like, our primary viewing source is YouTube.
We have one member of the family that is male who really likes the sports aspect of things.
Yes, yeah.
Can't get those streaming, whatever, download that with the sports. Mind you, right now it's all old stuff that they're playing.
You can find those on YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. But it's the current, when they have it current, then you get.
Yeah. John and I, so we will buy like a pay-per-view kind of version of, if there's any big games on that he wants to watch.
Yeah.
But aside from that, we don't miss TV, and we don't even use Amazon or like Amazon Prime or Netflix that much. Oh, though we did add Disney Plus, and I've been watching a lot of Disney Plus.
Well, I'm going to be checking out Doctor Who.
And you'll never be able, like I considered when I started watching Doctor Who, I considered going back all the way to the beginning.
Yeah.
And that was just like too daunting. To go back that far.
Seasons, but initially in the first batch,
26 seasons, and then there's probably been another they must be getting close to 20 again since the reboot.
And they do how many episodes a season? 8?
Oh, I don't. Probably more than that.
Probably 10. Oh my gosh, that is daunting. That's hundreds.
So yeah, so when I started watching Doctor Who, I just started at the 2005 episodes. Christopher Eccleston. And then actually I got so into that fandom that I did end up going back and rewatching all of the original ones. But that was like probably a 3-year endeavor.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's an idea. I'll have to check out that one. Oh dear. Yeah. We old fogies here learning all this new technology,
Hey, we're getting some viewers now.
Heidi suggests Midsummer Murders.
Yeah, watch a couple there. Mm-hmm. Then there's Miss Fisher's Mysteries. I like those. I've watched all of those. Vera, I've watched all of those. Father Brown. Yeah.
I love British TV. I don't watch too many like dramas or anything, but I watch the British panel shows, which are all like the comedians from the UK, but they like play game shows.
Yes,
they'll do the game shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But because they're comedians, like not only are they doing the game show, it's also like so funny.
Yeah.
So if John and I are sitting down in the evening, we'll usually put on a panel show.
Huh. I never thought of that. I have to give that a try.
And that's another one that you can get on YouTube. We love QI. There's a whole backlog of like Big Fat Quiz of the Year, which are they're like that's what they always play on like New Year's Eve, and it's like the year in review. Those are so funny. Would I Lie to You? 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown, which is like a math and spelling quiz show. But
oh my goodness!
So Countdown is a popular British like game show where like really smart people go on it. Kind of like a Jeopardy or something.
Okay.
But then this other TV show, 8 out of 10 Cats, they play Countdown. And they're comedians, so they're not good at math, and they're not that great at spelling.
Okay.
So it's check 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown. Check that one.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I got my
Hey,
my television watching here for the next.
Yeah, for sure.
Mind you, we're going into the season now when we're outside a lot more, so
That is true.
that in the back burner. Mm-hmm.
Dave, do you want to do an intro? Oh, sorry.
we probably should because it's
11:05.
It's 11:05. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Coffee Time. My name is Dave. Above me, we have.
Oh, good. Nice point.
Sarah.
Yeah, my name is
Yeah?
Sarah. Yeah. You got it right. My name is Sarah, and over here is my good friend Shirley. Shirley, say hi. And
hello.
Introduce yourself, Shirley.
Oh, jeepers. I'm Shirley. I live in Aldergrove. I'm married to Ken. And tomorrow we're going fishing.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah.
Where are you going fishing?
Wow, we're going up to Murray Lake where the guys usually go for the men's fishing weekend. Yeah, we're going up there and checking it out just for the day. The boat's on the truck and you bet. We're going. I am so excited to go. I love fishing. I never fished as a kid. And when I married Ken, it was a couple of years into it. We were fishing with a canoe and I'm paddling and he's got two rods out and he asked me to reel in one of the rods. He was going to change the line or the fly, I forget what. As I'm reeling it in for him, I catch a fish. And I was like, I got a fish. What do I do now? And I've loved it ever since. I even bop them on the head and all that sort of stuff. I can clean them.
The only time I've gone fishing was at we were on it was a church retreat at a camp that I grew up going to, and no power boats or anything. We were out in a rowboat and it was just my job to row the boat.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with having that job.
Oh, okay.
The friends I was with, they were the ones doing the fishing. I was like, I can row the boat.
Oh, well, we had a canoe. We fished for years with a canoe, probably 25 years. And then Ken, we sold it and we bought, I call it a little putt-putt boat. It's a John boat kind. And then we bought a little motor with it so I don't have to paddle anymore.
Yeah.
Sort of sit there, hold the line and hope a fish bites.
Wow. That actually reminds me that I meant to, our friend, the other week, Adam, he posted some pictures of a beautiful boat that he was on. And I need to ask Adam, I don't know if you're lurking in the comments, but
I'm always lurking.
Hook me up on the boat trips. He had a beautiful boat day out on the water and I was jealous.
Nice.
So, sorry, we didn't finish the intro.
We didn't.
Anyways, this is our midweek live stream show of South Langley Church in Langley, British Columbia, Canada. And so wherever you're joining us from, thanks for joining us. And you can interact. And so you can interact in the YouTube chat, and we would encourage you to do so. This is meant to be an interactive experience. You can also, if the YouTube chat isn't working for you, you can text the number that's on the bottom corner of your screen, and that will come to my phone, and I'll definitely see it.
Surely, a few weeks ago, we had an issue where Dave put his phone on silent, and people were texting in comments and even I think pictures that week, and
nothing.
Dave just ignored them.
Oh boy!
All right, guys. So that's it for intro, right?
Yeah, we usually start now with an icebreaker.
Okay.
If we're not going to have any special guests today.
Surely, you say that like you're disappointed. He's talking about my children.
Kind of like the staff, I'm around a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we usually have interruptions from Dave's boys usually, or sometimes Rosie joins as well.
Yeah, where are they? I haven't seen them in so long. I probably can't even recognize them. They've probably grown so much.
If you're not seeing them right now, it's because they're behaving themselves. And so
they're elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Shirley came with icebreakers.
Shirley came with an icebreaker.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about we were talking about in the pre-show, Shirley?
Oh, about the survey.
Oh, right. Yes. Those icebreakers.
Okay, yeah, I'll repeat myself. It wasn't that long ago. I started thinking to myself, you know what? If we ever are back together again, it would be so cool to do a survey or do it even now to find out what people did that was maybe different than what they'd done before. For instance, I was thinking I'd read on Facebook some of my friends, or a couple of them in 1 week, had taken up crocheting an Afghan or knitting an Afghan, doing it. I mean, like they're in my age, like around 50, 60. But there was something they had done years ago, and it was like, oh, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to just go out, buy wool, and start again. So they did, and then for instance, or else people starting a new hobby. Somebody I know has decided to paint, goes online, and is following. I think he's doing watercolors. And then he sees how to do it, and then he sits there and he paints according to what the YouTube shows him to do, and he's doing some nice stuff. And then my brother-in-law, he's decided he's going to start baking. So every weekend he either bakes a new kind of bread, or he's into bagels now. So they're overrun with bagels, my sister and her husband. But it's just something new that he decided to try. And I thought it'd be so interesting to find out how many people took up a new hobby during this time and how many resurrected an old one. And then also as part of the survey, I thought, you know what? I'd love to know how many had their spouses cut their hair for them. Like, did you allow them? Oh, I read on Netflix. I mean, not on Netflix, on Facebook. Somebody said they looked in the mirror. It was somebody who was older like me, with white hair like me. They looked in the mirror and they thought, I look like a dandelion that's gone to seed. And I thought, that's me. That's how I feel. But, and I thought it'd be interesting to see how many allowed their spouse to cut their hair and still have a spouse alive to tell the tale, just some of these things, or else cleaned out the garage or the attic, something they've wanted to do for years, or did this major project they'd wanted to do for years, just kind of get a sense of,
Yeah. I remember talking to Kim, our friend Kim, one day, and she was just commenting on how she said every dad on the block has broken out their pressure washers, I think is what she was talking about. And she was
that's the same here.
It's just like everyone's pressure washing.
And you know what else I'm noticing? Is the dads are taking their kids to the athletic field here in Aldergrove, and now they've opened up the skateboard park, and dads are skateboarding with their kids. I've never seen that before. Never.
That's fun. Heidi says that she's started scrapbooking again.
Oh, yeah.
Rita says that her new hobby is homeschooling the kids, which I think a lot of us have picked up that hobby. Heidi also says that she decided to sign up for online learning, seeing as she couldn't go to some of the conferences she had planned to. So she signed up for a 12-hour trauma certification course.
Whoa.
So being more productive than many of us. Rita also says that Emma cleaned out her room. And so maybe not her garage, but cleaning out the room. And I know John and I have been doing that. We tidied off our patio, which had just accumulated stuff. And so that's also been part of one of my newer hobbies is more gardening. Now,
that's another thing I found out from my friends of mine, like on Facebook, they're starting to garden.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, but you'll laugh because John's we have different pots for each of us, little planters and stuff, and John's is all lettuce and different herbs and stuff. I am definitely growing wheatgrass and alfalfa because you can see it grow daily. I'm instant gratification. And John's out there every night oh, look how well this is doing. And I'm no, you can see my wheatgrass has grown this much today.
You know what? Try sunflowers. They literally grow an inch a day too. You can see
our tricky thing is we're in the shade. Orientation of our building is we're in the shade. And so really enjoying the fact that wheatgrass, basically impossible to kill. I cut it all the time. It's like having a chia pet. I trim it and it just grows back again. I love it. I've been really enjoying my wheatgrass.
Oh, that's good. Wheatgrass. There we
Oh,
go.
I like Heidi. Heidi says that her kids cleaned out their rooms, but now her and Rich need to clean out the garage. So I guess some of the stuff from the kids' rooms ended up in the garage.
And then the stuff from the garage ends up at the thrift store.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a mom and dad's garage to keep some stuff in.
Or a mom and dad crawl space.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you have stuff stored in your parents' garage or crawl space, Dave?
Yeah. Actually, they're doing a renovation right now, and so as part of all the rearranging, some stuff resurfaced, and so I did some. There was a bit of an archaeological dig that went on, and so I went through one box, and I think they have one other box. So yeah, stuff from way back.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then,
I was just gonna say Alicia's been productive. She says nesting. She's nesting in her new place, which includes building a custom cabinet, creating a patio garden, and spending lots of time in the forest. So, again,
Forest is not part of the nesting.
No, but I think
unless she's like gathering sticks, like that kind of nesting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's stupid.
Well, she's living in Fred and Hanny Eckert's basement, I think, isn't it? Is that where she is, Alicia?
I think so. She'll respond.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lovely area there. Mm-hmm.
So I let my wife cut my hair.
Okay,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Take your hat off.
And
And he's been wearing a hat ever since.
I only do my hair on Sundays now, but I mean it's for guys' hair it's not crazy.
No, not bad. No.
It's not crazy hard. And we have clippers, so she just
Clip them. Yeah.
yeah. It's so that might I don't know, we'll see what happens. And my barber is actually I mean they can reopen now, but he's got a baby on the way.
Oh.
And so he's trying to delay reopening.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I miss the guy, and miss his great haircuts. So might wind up getting one or two more Justine specials, but I mean,
Then you go back.
it's fine.
Well, is your barber going to add on a $5 COVID tax on it?
Is that a thing?
Friends of mine go to three of them go to the same hairdresser, and she told them that there's an additional $5 charge for regarding COVID for I guess to compensate for all the changes they had to do. In fact, that they have to do the social distancing. You don't have as many. I'm thinking,
Wow.
$5, woo! You know, it adds up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, the Ken haircuts looking really good.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're a senior, you're going, $5 now.
I've just been enjoying. I mean, I don't get it. I get a haircut once every maybe 2 years, anyways. So I've just been enjoying allowing my hair to grow out.
Good for you.
We're lucky.
You're somebody who knows what to do with long hair. I look at long hair and go, what do I do with it? You know. So,
I mean, I just throw it up on top of my head. I don't know.
Dave, you should try that.
Yeah, Dave.
Probably
just let
won't.
it go long. Good morning,
but
Carolyn. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Carolyn. By the way, Shirley, Alicia said yes. That's where she's living.
Okay.
We so Rosie, our baby girl, like she's got a good head of hair. Anyways, it's just getting to like little pigtail length. So we've managed to pull off a couple of little pigtails, and they're outrageous cute. So,
that's good.
So that's gonna be our new hobby is doing
And you're
Rosie's
gonna be
hair.
good at doing pigtails and braids, hey Dave?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, I've definitely got some work to do. There's like one time, I forget why, but Justine needed me to braid her hair, and I did it, and it was pretty tragic.
Oh man. That's like one of my favorite things. I love braiding hair, but cannot braid aside from like braids like here that I can see, but like I cannot braid my own hair like French braid or anything like that. But the girls that I work with, they are frequently just subjected to, they'll just be doing schoolwork and I'm like, stay still. And I'll just like, French braid their hair and they're like, why, Sarah? And I'm like, I said so. You have to listen to me.
Nice. Oh, Dennis is in the chat. Dennis says he hasn't had a haircut since we were married in 2001. It just doesn't grow beyond a certain length.
Man,
I don't even know what to say.
that's great.
I
also like that Carolyn points out that her Rosie has a lot of hair too, Dave.
Oh, there you go.
Let's stop.
But Dennis, have Dennis trim just about an inch, and that might prompt it, like prime the pump, and then he can grow it longer.
I mean, I'm just impressed that he's found his maximum. I've never found my maximum.
Yeah.
One time when I was a teenager, I went a year without a cut.
Did you?
Yeah, and
your hair.
It got pretty long, and
I'm
every
sure we
teenage
can find some pictures of it somewhere.
every teenage boy goes through that phase.
Wow.
Right around 15, 16.
Well, my stepsons, Ken's boys, they went through this. Their hair was long when they had the mullet. The famous.
Oh.
We have pictures of these guys with the short hair and then the mullet. They hate us bringing out the photo album and they go, "Don't look at those! Don't look at those!"
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they hate it. Oh yeah, and the parachute pants.
Dave, was it like this time? You'll have to look on the live stream to see what I'm talking about. But your hair is pretty long in this picture.
What?
Who's that? Oh, where'd you find it?
What are you putting my Facebook photos up?
That's some pretty long hair.
That's pretty good, hey?
Yeah.
In that picture, I'm in Australia, so I'm 19.
Okay, so.
And that's not close.
So even longer. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Wow. So did you cut your hair before you came back from Australia? So your mom recognized you, or did you have it long?
No, I don't actually. I was in Australia 6 months, and I don't think I cut my hair there either.
Okay.
And I grew a beard as well.
Okay. So then when you came home, your mom said, "Excuse me, do you know where my son is?"
Yeah, I didn't tell them that I
Ooh, okay.
had grown my hair or grown a beard, and so yeah, I came down the whatever the thing you walk the lane in the airport, and they're freaked out. Anyways.
Well, anyways, yeah, as you're saying, it's 11:20. Should we jump into some questions, Dave?
I feel like the alternative is more of my old Facebook photos.
Whoa. I'm loving just the fact that Hilda says Ed has only paid for 2 haircuts in 53 years. I assume that means that Hilda is cutting his hair and not that we have another Dennis situation where the hair just doesn't grow.
Ed, how do you stay so handsome?
That is good.
And I also want to know what 2 haircuts have been paid for. Like, what situations were like, oh, we can't just do the at-home cut. We should actually go in and
get it done professionally then.
It professionally.
Mind you, I think Hilda must be a professional by now.
What were the things that warranted a professional haircut?
I'm just going to close my window real quick. We've got some landscaping going on outside, so.
All right.
So Hilda's got to fill in the blanks on that one.
Hilda, let us know in the comments in the chat. Are you the one cutting his hair? Anyways, yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit about Sunday and the Beatitudes? Yeah, that's what's next on our agenda, right?
It is. I thought we were going to talk more on Sunday about the. I'm still having nightmares about Sunday. Coming into the church at 7:30 and what everyone at home doesn't know is like Dave's in there like practicing his sermon. I come in and interrupt him, so he switches to editing slides, and I go, "Dave, is there any reason why the computer screen might not turn on?" And he's like, "Have you tried turning it on and on off and on again?" I'm like, "Yep." And then I'm like,
that's all I got.
Can you come help me change? So then we tried to change monitors, and it was like, nope, not that one. And then we tried to change cords, and it was like, no. And so we were like, we were kind of like, okay, well, do we just like keep trying, like download the broadcasting software on a different computer. Like, what can we do? And so then finally Dave just called it. But
So is it fixed now for next week then, or what happens?
It's so tomorrow Adam's going in. We think slash hope that it's just a video card that needs to be swapped out, and so we've got a new video card that will hopefully go in tomorrow and make everything better. If not, we've got a backup plan for having a semi-real service this coming Sunday. But yeah, that was a fun challenge. I think my pulse slowed down around 3 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, and it was really funny because I was I shared this actually with Annika the other day. We were on a walk, and I was kind of, so I am usually the first one in the church on Sunday morning, just to like download all the video greetings that we've received and the scripture reading video and get that all ready, because Dave really likes to do a final run through of his sermon. So once he's doing that, I try to kind of give him the room. And so I had decided that Sunday, I was like, oh, I'm actually going to sleep in. I need a little bit more rest. And so and I don't have too many videos to download this week, so I'll be able to do that once Dave has finished his sermon.
Yeah.
And so, and I showed up about an hour later than I usually do. So then as we're having troubles, I'm like kicking myself, like, if I had only come in earlier, I might have been able to troubleshoot more or given the team more warning, like why did I sleep in? And then I was realizing actually on my drive home, as we're desperately Dave's racing back to Aldergrove, I'm racing back to my house to try to get, all of a sudden I'm like praying about this and like, oh God, like I was up at that time. Why didn't you just like kick me out of bed? And all of a sudden I had this realization that like if I had shown up at 6 like usual, I would have been there for an hour into an hour and a half, like without Dave. And I would have been like stressing out about this situation alone. And so all of a sudden my prayers were like, oh, thank you, God, that I didn't discover that alone, that like I had Dave there as emotional support as I was like working through the problem.
Emotional support might be a generous term, but
no, for me, Dave, like that is just people being like, that's something that John has learned about me, is that like that's a huge thing, like just having somebody else nearby is a huge like I'm able to stay calm then. But so like that was a really cool thing that happened on Sunday. It was like, oh, okay, no, like this kind of was part of God's plan. Like this isn't a surprise to him that this was going to happen. And so then as we came in and I was like trying to set everything up here, it was like, okay, like no, this is going to be okay.
So Sarah, does that mean we're it's part of God's plan? Does that mean we're swinging back to last week's discussion of divine providence? Because just so you know, I have more
thoughts on that.
Just kidding.
Maybe that was wrong phrasing, but it didn't surprise. Let's just stick with the fact that it didn't surprise God.
Yeah. Okay, so what we did wind up talking about, and people are saying in the comments, thanks for making the best of it, and it was good. I think I'm happy with with the fact that we were still able to have a service, and there was a lot of really cool. We were saying in our staff meeting yesterday, like there was a lot of interaction, and that really like showed us that there was a bit of like people actually enjoyed the interactive feel. Some people, were it was a bit of a a switch for them, right? Because they're used to that more presentation style. But I think it was for reformatting the whole service in like 90 minutes, pretty good.
That's not bad. No.
Yeah. So we talked about the second beatitude, which is blessed are those who mourn, which is kind of, I don't know, that's a beatitude where I kind of want to argue with Jesus a little bit, like actually no, that like it's like mourning by definition is not, it's kind of a bad thing, or at least that's how we usually see it. And so, yeah, had a bit of a, wide ranging discussion. So the question that I was kind of trying to get at was does Jesus, and I'm open to feedback or disagreement on this, but does Jesus think that mourning, like, that it's actually good that we're mourning? And it's good, like we see in the Bible, it's good to mourn when you suffer grief. It's good to lament. It's good to process your grief in that way. But would Jesus say you're actually blessed to be grieved and then have to mourn, versus just to not be grieved in the first place? And I think we, that's maybe how we read it sometimes. And I kind of think that the blessing is not in the fact that you're grieved and you're mourning. The blessing is, like, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. The blessing is the promise of the comfort. And then we talked about how comfort, that word in the Greek, refers to the Holy Spirit, the paraclete, parakaleo, and how Jesus himself is also, like, the Holy Spirit is the comforter and Jesus is the comforter. And so that's kind of the promise. It's kind of like Jesus is saying, for those of you who are mourning right now, I want you to know that the comforter is here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. There were some really interesting conversations going on Sunday about, like, whether, would there be mourning? Like, would God have built? Would we have been able to mourn, pre sin entering the world, or is that just part of, the reality that we live in now? And so, like, is that part of, like, Jesus' response is, like, they will be comforted because ideally, this situation wouldn't happen. Like, I can't remember, did we write down, I still keep reflecting back, though I can't remember what it was, to Rachel's comment about how mourning, gives us the understanding that, like, this isn't the way the world was supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. And so we talked a little bit about Romans 8, about how our spirit groans within us. Creation itself is groaning for its deliverance, and our spirits also groan inwardly. So there's this kind of baseline mourning that's part of the human condition. Like, there shouldn't be sickness and injustice and alienation and all these things.
Carolyn's got a comment here. The blessing is the comfort that will come, but I also think that those who grieve hard have loved hard, which is something that I resonate with right now. Like, as I was preparing for this, this chat today, thinking about what I'm mourning. One of the things that, like, so your first question here today, Dave, that we have on screen right now is, what are you mourning right now? And one of the things that I'm actually mourning right now is speaking at camps this summer. Like, I've, last year I spoke at Camp Bob, and I've, been involved with Stillwood at the past, and I've been involved with leadership at Imidine. And this year was actually I was so excited for this summer because this year, so the first camp that I ever went to at Imidine was Junior 2. It's a camp that runs in August. And at the first year I went to camp, I can remember thinking, like, oh, one day I want to be a speaker. Like, that seems like such a cool thing. Like, having enough knowledge and having enough, like, stories and being a good communicator, like, that is the dream. And then as I continued, like, aging up as a camper, like, I continued to just, like, be fascinated with this idea of being a speaker at camp. And this year I was invited to speak at Junior 2. The first camp that I ever went to.
Yeah.
And was so excited for that. And now the whole camping season, I think every camp that I know of now has officially canceled their camping season. And so that means that I was also scheduled to speak at Camp Bob, which is a camp that I just met last year. but already has like a place in my heart. But I'm really, mourning that, again, like change in expectation.
Yeah.
And yeah, the anticipation that I had for that. So that's one of the things that I'm mourning right now.
Well, I was thinking about that verse, blessed are those that mourn, for they'll be comforted. And I thought, what's the flip side or the reverse of that? So if you don't mourn, there's no blessing. You know, and I thought, oh, and I think in this day and age, we're so conscious of youth and preserving our youth and not allowing people to die. I'm gonna, think physically now, and that's when we're supposed to mourn. A former neighbor of mine, her mom had been sick, was like almost 100 years old, and just wanted to leave this earth. Was not a Christian, didn't want to have anything to do with God. And I said, well, Carol, you'll let me know when your mom passes away. She says, yeah, I'll let you know. And I says, I'd love to come, because I knew her mom just because she's my neighbor's mom. And I said, I'd like to just be at the memorial service. And she says, we're not going to do one. I says, oh dear. Oh, I'm sorry. She says, no, I can't handle it. Can't handle it. And I said, well, would it help to put closure on, that she's gone? No, doesn't want to have nothing to do with it. So, we were a couple of weeks into the COVID thing, and I phoned her and I said, how you guys doing? How's your mom? Has it hit her nursing home where she's in? She said, oh, she passed away. And I said, oh dear, how long ago? And she said, two weeks ago. And I said, and are you doing any kind of a memorial or anything? Nope, don't want to deal with it at all. So they're not even mourning. They're not. And now she's not a believer. I don't believe she is. We've talked about it, but I don't think she is. And I thought, there's something in the Bible that when we mourn, when we go through that process, we will be comforted. And that's comforting, I thought, yeah, allow ourselves to mourn, like to mourn, lost speaking engagements, to mourn somebody passing away, because if you don't mourn, we're not comforted,
Right,
and,
yeah.
And a comfort, I often think of when they say, the Holy Spirit is like a comforter. Well, we call blankets comforters, and they snuggle us, they warm us, they protect us. And I thought, yeah, we need to mourn. Anyhow. And the other thing I thought of too was the verse last week was, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And I thought, I think we mourn when we know we're poor in spirit. Like what follows the other. Like we mourn when we have all the money in the world and it's not going to take care of the camps coming back so I can speak at them. I've got, we've got this wonderful family, but it's not going to bring back grandma, So we're poor. We're poor in our spirit. We feel like we have nothing left, we're just empty. And when we're at that point, then we can mourn when we have nothing left,
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And you're so right, Shirley. Like even my default, is, so often just to say, oh, it's okay. Like, that was the same thing. Like when, I started finding out that, I think it was Stillwood was canceled first. And then it was Camp Imini. And like with Stillwood, it was kind of like, oh, this is okay. Like, they'll be next year. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
And then like Camp Imini came along and I was like, actually this is not fun. Like I'm actually not okay with this, and that's okay. Like it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And and we just have to process that, so that we, as you said, Shirley, like so that we can be comforted.
Be comforted. Well, it was really interesting with Peter and Jocelyn. Oh man, it was back in the fall, I think. And was that when Cameron was diagnosed again, or his cancer had sort of like came back full blown or whatever. And we're at the coffee time, and Peter happens to be standing there. And I go up to him and go, Peter, and all of a sudden I started to weep, and I put my head on his shoulder and go, oh, Peter, I'm mourning. And he just kind of puts his arm there, goes, pats my shoulder. It's okay, Shirley. It's okay, But sometimes I was so embarrassed. I thought, oh my goodness. He said, it's okay. And I thought, hey, yeah, it is okay to mourn. It's something to sometimes show those physical signs. Because you know what he did? In an awkward way, he patted my shoulder, but he comforted me, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carolyn's saying in the comments, we have a weird relationship with death in this country. And Shirley, it's interesting, like your comments about your friend. Maybe this is too raw, but when I was researching for Blessed Are Those Who Mourn,
Yeah.
I heard a story from another pastor who knew a funeral director,
Mm-hmm.
and he said the funeral director, like, again and again, people would die, and their family would say, cremate the body, send me the bill, and that's it. And then like 6 months later, he'd hear from them, and they'd be trying to, like, like they would realize, oh, we haven't processed this in any ways, we haven't grieved, we haven't mourned, and so that, there's no closure. And so that's this kind of this inability to enter into the morning.
You know, it's really interesting. I just thinking, sorry, back to our pre-show conversation. Shirley, you actually mentioned this thing that kids are going through right now with school, and how they weren't, because school ended like pre-spring break, and they thought that they would be going back. They haven't had closure. And now just thinking to so many of the conversations I've had with kids, and the girls that I work with more closely, seeing those kind of emotional outbursts, you know, like kind of, you know, they're good a lot of the time, and then all of a sudden it'll just be, you know, an outburst of tears, and like in a lot of ways, it kind of mimics mourning and this sense of loss that they have as young people.
You grieve, yeah.
Hey, just got a recommendation from Hilda, who is our church librarian. She's just letting us know that there's a book in the church library, Jerry Sitzer, A Grace Disguised, and it's Jerry Sitzer writes this book after his family was in a car accident, and they lost his wife and one of his three children, and so the family then had to press on, and so it's a story of walking through mourning, walking through grief, and so that's in the church library. If you want, you can drop by the church and check it out of the library. That's still operational. There's no sense in.
You know what, we had with the Women's Tuesday Morning Bible Study, before we had the COVID thing, we were doing a series of different things, and one of them was Ruth Shirk volunteered to do a Bible study, or one Tuesday morning, on grieving. Grieving mourning, and just some facts, but also the process, and it was amazing. It was so beneficial that and maybe once we're all together, or if it's something maybe do online or whatever it is, but you know, if anybody is interested, they could just talk to Ruth. She had the notes there. She gave us a couple of handouts, but it was just so beneficial. And I was thinking, I think in a way it kind of prepared us for moving into the scenario that we're in right now. But she did a super job.
Very
cool.
Should we jump to the next question?
Okay, our next question here is, in what ways does God comfort you? And in what ways do you sense the closeness of the Comforter?
So it's this idea of, you know, blessed are those who mourn, because they'll be comforted, because the Comforter is near. And this is Jesus saying, the kingdom of heaven is near, so the Comforter is here. And then we could have a whole talk about the Trinity, and because Jesus is the Comforter, but also the Holy Spirit is the Comforter, and but you know, Jesus promised that the Holy Spirit would be another Comforter of the same kind. It says this in John 14, one who would never leave us, and so that divine presence of the Comforter is still with us. So what are some ways that we sense the closeness of the Comforter, and that God comforts us.
Well, can I read something? It was in my devotions this morning, and it's by, I've never heard of this person, Francis J. Roberts, and it's called Eternal Purposes. So I gather that he's somebody from maybe a century or two ago. And he says, hold thou fast, for lo, I am with thee. Stand thou still, for I am thy God. Be thou quiet before me, for I have arranged all things for thee according to my good will, yea, according to mine eternal purposes. For I have purposes and plans and desires which reach far beyond thy present view. Thou seest, as it were, the immediate situation, but my thoughts for thee and my planning for thee embraces eternity. Yea, thou art in my hand. Rest there and leave all else to me. I just thought, and that comforted me.
Yeah.
Just, and that's that old English, the these and the thous. When I read that, I have to concentrate more, because we don't use that stuff. And it was, that's good. But I love, yea, thou art in my hand. Rest there and leave all else to me.
Yeah.
Alicia says that God's been comforting and close to her through forest walks. Creation and God's presence within invites, welcomes, holds, and carries me. I've often felt God's comfort through other people. And so during this season, actually, one thing that I've actually found really comforting is that musical benediction that Adam has been, leading us in and introduced our church to. And so that's become part of my kind of like daily routine, is listening to that. But for me, that definitely felt like a message that I needed to hear. The first time he sang it, I was like, this is a direct message to me. But yeah, often through other people, and fairly often through kids, and even kids like saying things that it's like, that was a weird thing for you to say, young child, but exactly what I needed to hear, to be comforted or to be encouraged or whatever through this time. And so I've always, for me, that's how God has, how I've felt him close to me.
What do you think? Go on to the next one?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah?
Our next question is, how can you take part in the work of comforting the mourning? And it sounds like one way that, sure, like even just like encouraging or, being open to mourning.
Yeah, put your head on somebody's shoulder and bawl like a baby.
But like actually, yeah, like mourning together with someone, lamenting together with someone, right? And we talked about this a few weeks ago when we talked about lament, like the old Jewish practice of sitting Shiva, right? You just go sit with them.
Yeah.
And
I loved it when you explained that whole lament thing. I thought, that's the missing piece for me. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that and like, and I think that's how, like, that's what we're saying actually, is that, like, how does God comfort us? It's through his presence. It's through the presence of the Comforter.
Yeah.
Yeah, not problem solving, which is exactly what Alicia just said. Not problem solving, not trying to fix it, and just, being present. And even when I think back on my life and when I've had the wisdom to do that, not trying to offer solutions or, ways to, like, oh, well, let's just look at it in this light and then we'll feel better about it. When I've had the wisdom just to, be present with a person, that's even, brought the most comfort to me, as well as like a, engaging with that person.
Yep. And that's the, and yeah, just seeing also Carolyn here saying, not trying to fix or cheer up, just coming alongside.
Mhm.
That's it, right? That's parakaleo in Greek, which is to be called alongside, to be called in alongside. Parakletos is the one called alongside. Yeah, not trying to fix it, but just another presence there.
And you see, women are fixers. You know, they're nurturers. They want to make things better.
I thought men were fixers.
Well, we want to fix what like the emotions. We want to fix.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so you know we tend to speak before we maybe when we shouldn't. At least I do. You know, like it's like I should see. I got to have something here to give them so they can walk away with something to hold on to. And no, they don't. They just need our love.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Easier said than done, though.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
No, but even in this time again, you know, going back to being like working with these girls and they're, you know, struggling with the loss of school and just this year not going as they planned. Today actually, so one of the girls, she's been really mourning. She's in her grade 5 year, so you know it's a small scale version of a grade 12 graduation. Like this is her last year. Yeah, she's going into middle school, and so in grade 5 they get to do all these special things usually, and so this week would have been her big field trip to Victoria.
Oh yeah.
And so we have spent a lot of time this week just crying together over that, being sad together over that, and then today we're actually going to be doing a virtual tour around Victoria, which won't be as exciting, and I'm sure will still lead to some frustration. But we have dedicated some time this afternoon just to like sit down and talk about what her field trip would have been like, and she's got the unique. Her whole class is, at some point this week they have to do this virtual tour of Victoria, look at different YouTube videos. Yeah. So I'm like, well, you have the benefit of working, having somebody who lived in Victoria for 21 years. So we can jump on Google Maps together and I can show you some of my favorite things. But yeah, just, being, not trying to say like, I'm always so tempted to, say like, oh, well, it could have been worse, or like, well, like, let's think about it in this way, or whatever. But this has been a good week for me to practice, like, just being present, and acknowledging that it does what she's going through does suck.
And everybody goes, amen. Mm-hmm.
I like Carolyn here says, Paul sometimes asks when I'm upset about something, do you want help fixing it or do you just need me to listen?
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
There you go. Cool. Yeah. Well, I think we're good then. We can start to wrap up. Do we have any SLC updates? We don't really.
I don't think we have any. No SLC updates.
Other than we started on Sunday, we started the foyer.
Oh, how did that go?
It went well.
Good.
So it was a little bit less of a clear delineation from our service because our whole service was kind of interactive. But yeah, so going forward, we're gonna have kind of an interactive talk show right after the service.
I really like service. So I was again like chatting with Annika. I think it was Thursday as we were filming a video or something. Oh no. Anyways, doesn't matter. I really like Annika's idea, Dave, that we should get different angles of the foyer and then use like the foyer at church, and then as we're on, like we could all actually just join in a Zoom call, whatever, and then use pictures as our virtual backgrounds and like actually pretend that we're in the foyer at church. And I was like, Annika, you are a girl after my own heart. Like, that is brilliant.
I love it.
Though I guess we could actually just, for those of us who are on site Sunday morning, we could actually be out in the foyer.
Yeah.
Well, the camera The camera cord. Anyways, don't worry about it.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, so that was really good. We had such good conversation, and Shirley, it really kind of felt like the foyer. Like there was one conversation going on like on the call, and some people in the chat were participating in that conversation, and there was also sub conversations going on in the chat that, you know, I'm sure for some you know, it's a little bit overwhelming, but it felt very much like what it feels like for the foyer after church.
Oh,
You know, you're standing there and, you know, there's so many different conversations going on, and you're kind of hearing little snippets of all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
It was good.
Alicia says, any other new ideas brewing at SLC? Foyer is a great new experiment. I mean, it's all new ideas right now.
If you have any ideas, yeah, let us know. We're working on a lot of new ideas for kids camp. We're preparing kids camp, and a portion of that, or the majority of that, will be like through virtual videos, and we're actually starting filming for that next week, and so that's gonna be fun. And we're actually following, not following in parallel. We're doing the Beatitudes this summer, and so we're a little bit behind. Potentially we'll be catching up with the adults, but that's going to be a lot of fun.
How slow do you think I'm going to go?
I don't know.
One per week.
Okay, so one per week. So so you guys will be finished the Beatitudes by the time we start them. Yeah. Okay. But that will be, that's you know, that's some fun ideas that are brewing. And that will also be fun because other people can get involved, watch the videos. So surely you are usually at our kids camp, and we'll really miss you this year, but you can still participate at home. There's no age limit on who can watch the videos. Those will be available for all.
Oh, that'll be good.
They're probably going to be more fun than my Beatitudes sermons anyways.
We've got a decline in the viewership because they've all switched over to the kids camp.
That's right.
Well, kids camp is released during the week, so it doesn't compete.
Oh, okay, right.
But so we're doing, it's the whole idea, you know, because we're talking about Sermon on the Mountain stuff. It's a mountain climbing camp. It's all about, you know, we're working in the skits are we're working in a base camp, like a climbing shop. Yeah. And so Kaylee and I were dreaming out about our character names, and I really like the one that, so Kaylee's character, her name is Roxy.
Okay.
Get it? Roxy.
And yours is?
So my name is my name is Everest, but I go by Evie.
Okay.
But my full name is Everest Cliff. So Dave.
What's she? Roxy
Everest Cliff? Sarah, people have died.
That's okay. And what's Roxy? Is she Roxy?
Oh man.
That would have been good. Roxy Hitch, and that's important for some of the jokes that are written in and everything. Right. But no, we're having a lot of preparing for that. Yeah. If you actually were to go to the church right now, you would see that we have a full climbing shop set up in the church. Very much, you know, feelings like regular kids camp. Except there's no kids around, and it's just a bunch of adults playing in it.
Yeah, and we're obviously trying to discern what the next season looks like as BC is reopening, and so there's like tomorrow there's a seminar that our like MB conferences holding over Zoom, and so we're gonna get some guidance there, and dream up what you know the next year or so will look like, and it's definitely gonna have some heavy modifications, and so more info to come, but we're kind of just in that brainstorming stage.
Pickleball.
Well, listen, thanks.
Oh yeah, pickleball. We'll have to get that in.
Pickleball with plexiglass.
You got it. No, the chair spaced 6 feet around the gym.
Oh man, so it's a challenge.
It is. Okay.
Pickleball outside.
Well, Shirley, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe. thank you for joining us, Shirley.
It was fun.
And
Thanks for inviting me.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you do that survey, let me know. I want to see the results.
Yes.
Okay, and thanks everyone for joining us on YouTube as well. And we'll see you Sunday live here on our live stream, 10 a.m.